Okay, good morning. It's 8:30 Tuesday, May the 10th, 2022. Welcome to the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum. I'm Laura McClady, one of the facilitators, along with Mary Johnson, Jackie Edwards Walton, Steve Johnson, Natalie McGarrett, Winston Robinson, Saritha Sherrill, and Carlinia Ivory Canty. We like to start with the prayer. Steve, were you able to get Saritha on okay?
I don't think so.
Okay, Jackie, would you lead us in a word of prayer, please?
Certainly. Father, thank you so much for your so many blessings. Thank you for this day. We ask that as we finish up this final Tuesday of primary candidates, that those who have offered themselves to serve us, that you just bless them, keep them safe, keep them rested, keep them in good mind. We ask that as we go through this final Tuesday, that it be a blessing to those who are on the call. We thank you in so many ways. In the name of the soon coming King, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jackie. Do we have anyone here for the first time? If it's your first time attending Tuesday Forum, please raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, just speak up and just give us your name and introduce yourself. It looks like we have regulars on here this morning.
I think we have one, don't we?
I don't see a hand raised. Is Stephanie that one new person that hasn't been on here before?
No, it's a Carolyn.
Carolyn Thompson. Is Carolyn Thompson and Carolyn the same
Yes,
Carolyn?
Carolyn Thompson. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
All right. And we invite you to come back. We meet usually every Tuesday throughout the year with a few exceptions. And we meet at 8:30. We will start meeting at the center, Belmont Center. It's scheduled for us to go in on the 24th of this month on site to our center for our presentations. And thanks for coming. Okay. This morning, the forum continues this session with candidates in contested May 17th primaries, including candidates in all contested races who were invited earlier but were unable to attend the forums at that particular time. So what we like to do is recognize those that are here that are in contested districts or contested primary on the 17th. But we'd like for you to raise your hand if you like to do a presentation for 2 minutes. Now, Natalie is our timekeeper. Natalie, raise your hand. For those who don't know Natalie, once you start speaking, she will let you know that when your time is up. So please honor her and respect her when she raises her hand. Now, participation in the forum is a privilege, and it's about an agreement to stay on topic and to treat all participants with respect and to honor decisions of the facilitators. Violators may face immediate suspension for this privilege. So, with that being said, we have Yvette who will start. Yvette.
Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be before
Madam
you again.
Facilitator,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the mayoral candidate.
Okay, now who is that?
That's me, Stephanie De Sarachaga. I'm having problems raising my hand.
Okay, Stephanie.
Here we go.
Stephanie. Okay, Stephanie.
Thank
And,
you, Madam Facilitator.
you are so welcome.
Thank you
Stephanie,
so much.
you have 2 minutes. We'll give you 3 minutes this morning.
Oh, okay. So you want me to go now? Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much for having me. I won't take all that time. I know there are others that need to speak also about the community. I am in a contested race And the things that I'm most passionate about are housing, public safety, small business. And I know that we're a very interesting group that lives in Charlotte. I grew up here. Many, diversity, and people are coming here because we are becoming a bigger and bigger city. And I just want to be part of that vision. I have a wonderful vision for the city, and I believe we can be one of the great American cities. And New York is actually sort of on its way out in a lot of ways, and we're finally really rising. As many of you who've lived in the community for a long time, it was always thought that one day, Charlotte would take its place, and actually, I believe we will be the forefront, and we are. So I want to attract corporations here that share our values, not compromise our values to attract the corporations. I want to help figure out the housing crisis and work with our community to do so. One of the ways I would like to do that is I am in conversations with different parts of the real estate community. I have a real estate and finance background, and I am trying to work with that community to seed and help the smaller parts of the community, which is the small developers coming from mostly minority neighborhoods that need to be invested in. That's been my experience because it's been completely disenfranchised for so many years. So I'm really focusing on putting programs together for that. And that will help create good housing in those areas and spread the wealth of generational wealth of owning a home, but also understanding real estate, understanding how to generate wealth through real estate, because those communities have not been given that opportunity or taught or good, mortgage rates for that. So I'm working very diligently on that. In terms of safety, I'm just working to support all our first responders. We need to recruit as many as possible as we're a growing city. And then, I want to hear from all of you what your priorities are. So I'm not going to talk a lot today. I just want to hear from you. Thank you so much for letting me join the forum.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The only other person that I know we haven't heard from that I'm viewing is Malcolm Graham, who is in a contested also. Malcolm, would you like to share for 2 minutes?
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is Malcolm Graham, and I am running in a contested primary in Charlotte City Council District 2. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone for being here this morning, and thank the facilitators of the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club for all that they do. A lot of people, and I
guess we ain't got no privileges as staff when it comes to commencement unless we're working here.
We can't hear you, Malcolm.
bring jobs to the community, that they want to provide opportunities in our corridors. And the thing that I want to leave with everyone this morning is who has the ability to get things done, who has the ability to translate a vision into a goal, into an accomplishment. For the last several years, I've been able to do that, taking a concept like the Quarters of Opportunity program, putting meat on that bones to not only impact the center of District 2, which is the Batesford Road corridor, but also having that impact felt throughout the city and 5 other corridors in our community. I'll talk specifically about Batesford Road because that's what I said I would do 2 years ago, to kind of focus my time, energy, and resources on that particular corridor. And we've made miles of improvement in terms of economic development projects, supporting Christopher Dennis on the corner of Batesford Road in LaSalle, Diane Ward on the corner of the 5 Point Corner. Both are African American business owners. We brought Cure Violence to Batesford Road to prevent violence and crime before it occurs. We work with the mayor and the mayor's racial equity program to provide $80 million for Johnson C. Smith University, more private funds for the Quarters of Opportunities, $15 million for the digital divide. We work basically with landowners along Batesford Road to make sure that they were connected with opportunities. I can go on and on in reference to what we've done on the quarter, what we've done in District 2 throughout the last 2 years. But I believe this again, who has the ability to get things done, not only in the office for City Council District 2, but our large races and even our mayor races. I mean, we're at a crucial point in our community where we need to move beyond the sound bites of we need affordable housing, we need work jobs, we need et cetera, to who has the management ability to go to City Hall, to work collaboratively with other colleagues and the management team to accomplish goals and objectives for the community. And I stand before you as one individual capable of doing that. And that's why I ask for your support for re-election to Charlotte City Council District 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm. Um, what I'd like to do at this point, do we have any other that are any contested candidates with us this morning that have not been available to speak
Yes,
earlier
ma'am.
and was invited?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. This is Carolyn Thompson, a candidate for
Okay,
the North Carolina Court of Appeals.
okay. You go right ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to come before you. While I don't have a primary and I won't be before you long because I know that others do have primary, but I am going to the general election in November with a contested race. I am the Democratic candidate for the North Carolina Court of Appeals, seat number 8, created as an open seat when Judge Ingram announced that she was going to run for the Supreme Court, leaving her seat open on the Court of Appeals. There are 4 seats on the ballot for the Court of Appeals. Please remember to vote up and down the ballot because the judicial race, as we saw in 2020, was lost because over 100,000 people only voted at the top of the ticket and didn't come down to deal with the judicial races. And as you know, every tabletop issue that we have right now is going to come before our courts and will be addressed by all courts. The Court of Appeals is the second highest court in our state. Oftentimes, it's the precedent for how the lower district court ruling should apply, or even some issues that come before the Court of Appeals will stop at the Court of Appeals before even having an opportunity to see another day in an appellate court. So I'm coming to the ballot with 25 years of experience being a former district court judge for over 10 years here in the 9th Judicial District. The 9th covers Granville, Franklin, Warren, Person County, and it's on the other side of Durham County. That's when people kind of know where I'm coming from. My husband, John, and I live here in Oxford, where I was also sworn in as a resident Superior Court judge when Governor Cooper appointed me as the first African American and the first female to ever preside as a Superior Court judge in my district. I'm a civil litigator right now, practicing law, pretty much family law and laws that protect our kids from abuse, neglect, and dependency. I'm also very active in my community, serving in my church as a licensed and ordained minister, and I have a ministry called Abigail's Veil that deals with domestic violence in the faith-based community, and I provide workshops for clergy and leadership in church to talk about the signs and symptoms of domestic violence so they could be better prepared to deal with victims. It's going to be very important to elect judges who have the experience and the commitment to being impartial and fair, regardless of all the rhetoric that's going on. You want judges who will come to the bench with the understanding of what it means to render a ruling and have an opinion that's based upon our laws, our statutes, and also have some common sense. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity to speak. And to those of you who have a primary, Godspeed to you. Please get some rest. I know the anxiety is probably going to mount upon you come May 17th, but know that you've put in the work, the 110%, it's going to get you across the finish line. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Let me see now. I know that Keith Smith said that he had to leave. And at 8:45, are you still on, Keith? You want to say something before you leave? I guess he's already left. I'm looking for our chat questions. And while I'm looking for it, I'd like to recognize, of course, we have the two elected officials that are here, Malcolm Graham and Greg Phipps, who's with us, that's serving right now. Are there any other elected officials here that we want to recognize? Raise your hand. No, we don't. We'd like to, now we'll move to those that are in those contested areas. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to recognize all of those that are running. And I'll give you, since we're on a different schedule this morning, and I don't see too many questions in the chat box, but we're going to start off with Yvette. Yvette, and you'll have a minute because you've been spoken before.
I have, and hopefully by now, if you don't know about me, I have not been doing my job. Good morning, everyone, on Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum. You always enjoy this forum. I am humbled by all of the support that I've been given by many of you on this call, all across the community. Your endorsement means so much to me, and your support. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram. I am running for Board of County Commission at large to fill the seat that was left vacant when Commissioner Ella Scarborough went out on medical leave. Representation matters so much to me. There is only one other Black female voice on the Board of County Commission, and that is Commissioner Phil Malik. I have the experience in the community and the professional expertise to work with anyone and everyone to get our most critical issues done, to fill that gap, to meet the needs through services of people within this community, through wraparound services. You know, many of the things that are occurring to our families are out of their control. So that's what the county commission is for, to meet the need, to fill in that gap. I'm an experienced grant writer, policy writer, and I serve in the community now as your Democratic Chair, Precinct 89, on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Community Relations Committee, and on the North Carolina State Executive Committee. So I ask for your support, your vote on March 7th. This Saturday, early voting ends, and I ask for your vote next Tuesday, May 17th, during the primary. Yvette Townsend Ingram. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yvette. So Maya Haynes had to leave as well. So we like Kyle. Is Kyle still with us for a minute?
Let me double unmute myself. Yes, I am. Let me start my video back up. Hello. Can you see me?
Morning.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Kyle Lubke. Y'all know who I am. I've come to the Tuesday Morning Forum, so I'm running for City Council at large. On the Republican side, my platform is housing, affordability to own, transportation system that works for everybody, especially investing in our transit system, and not get distracted by shiny objects that really don't work for people who use transit. And then also just having a small business ecosystem in our city that works and that our city can actually engage with our small businesses, many of whom are minority and women owned. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, send me a text, call me, whatever. I know I get a lot of them, so just let me know. Thanks.
Okay. Is Keith Smith still on? All right. Shantae Burke Hayer. Okay, I saw her on early. Bilal.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you this morning. Sorry, I'm not able to be on video. I'm currently on the road, but as always, it's great to be here. I appreciate the chance that you've been able to make for the primary candidates that haven't spoken yet this morning, as Election Day is 1 week away. My name is Bilal El Rahal, and I'm running for District Court Judge, seat 19. Right now, I serve you as a trial attorney at the Public Defender's Office and as a JAG attorney in the Army Reserves. I was born and raised here in Charlotte, and I'm looking forward to bringing that commitment to service and courtroom experience to the district court bench. I appreciate everyone's support so far. It's been a blessing to see some of you out at the polls already. And I will put my information in the chat. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you. Samantha Mobley.
Good morning, everyone. I also apologize for not being able to be on camera right now. I am Samantha Mobley, and I serve you as a magistrate here in Mecklenburg County. This year, I'm running for District Court Judge, seat 19, currently serving you in traffic court, landlord-tenant court, criminal, civil cases, criminal misdemeanor cases, and civil cases up to $10,000. I've served you for the last 8 years in this capacity and wish to continue to serve you going forward. I volunteer in our community with Heal Charlotte and the Veterans Bridge Home. I am someone who grew up in a home that provided foster care for children, so I've had the opportunity to see the court's effect on families for a very young, from a very young age, having 17 different foster brothers and sisters growing up, each of them being placed in our home by the court. So I can recall the pains that the families would experience being separated from each other, and then also the joys once they were able to get back together. And I wish to help create healthy solutions for the challenging problems that families face in the courtroom. I will place my information in the chat. Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, Rob Hillman.
Good morning, Tuesday morning breakfast forum. There's a lot of activity going on. First and foremost, thank you for the forum. Thank you for those of you who have voted early. Please encourage folks to come out. It's on certain polling locations, it's fairly slow. It is picking up a little bit, but we need to get the word out of when you're at the checkout counter at Harris Teeter, ask the cashier, have they voted? What you'll start to find out is a lot of people just don't know that there's an election. So we need to do a better job at getting the word out. So please help with that. My name is Robert Hillman. I'm your candidate for Charlotte City Council District 6 as a finance executive, wealth manager, MIT engineer, public servant, and proud dad. I have over 30 years of experience leveraging my financial and engineering expertise for the benefit of the community. My desire to serve on city council is basically to extend that experience and to offer those services and to serve in a leadership capacity. As the next city councilman from District 6, I will work to grow Charlotte's economy in an equitable manner, increase public transportation so people can get to work, because public transportation is a huge challenge here, and lastly, improve public safety. If we can get Charlotte to grow together, move together, be safe together, we will all be stronger together. I'm a firm believer that we are stronger together than apart, and I humbly ask for your support for my candidacy for Charlotte City Council District 6. I'll put my information in the chat, and thank you for your support, your vote, and please get folks out. Thank you.
Thank you. Cedric Dean. Cedric, we can't hear you.
Okay, good morning. And I just want to say I'm so grateful and blessed to be here today. And I just ask for your support. I'm running for Charlotte City Council District 4. I am not on the BPC ballot because I challenge Hidden Valley, fought for Hidden Valley. And I truly believe that our seniors, as well as our communities, need their voice. Too many politicians are meeting with developers and not meeting with residents. And I am adamantly opposed to any community who is represented having a developer come in and not even listen to the needs and the concerns of the community. So I really feel that something needs to be done about our homicides. I have a 50-page plan, point by point, on what I intend on doing to address these needs. And I just humbly ask for your support. We are 50 out of 50 and up with mobility, but we number 2 in the world in banking. We need someone who will fight to make our banking community finance some of these loans and make them affordable. So I just thank you. Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum, Cedric Dean, Charlotte City Council District 4.
Okay, is Tim Emery still on?
Good morning. I am also in car en route to an early voting location, so my apologies for not being on camera. I'm Tim Emery. I'm running for district attorney And I have to tell you, from the campaign trail as a first-time candidate, it's been very heartening and humbling to see people that I have never met that are connecting with our campaign, that are connecting with the message, the vital messages of the campaign, and it gives me motivation to keep going. My campaign for district attorney is focused on holding police accountable when they break the law. That is not happening right now. Ending mass incarceration policies that are racist and don't keep us safe, promoting racial and restorative justice practices that actually are pathways to improve public safety, and finally, a commitment to never seeking the death penalty. The website is Tim4DA, and encourage people to vote. I will also say, from past experience helping out other campaigns, the last Saturday of early voting is by far the busiest. So if you have not yet voted yet and you want to do so in early voting, I strongly encourage you to do it today, tomorrow, or Thursday. Friday will get to be a bit of a wait, and Saturday you could have a significant wait. So that favors the non-procrastinators out there, which I know are few and far between. I'm in the procrastinator group, but thank you all for having me, and I will put the link in the chat.
Okay, Dr. Witherspoon.
Morning. I'm in the car as many others are, but it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm a candidate for school board at large, and District 2, and patiently waiting for the primaries to be over so that we can come to the table and have a conversation about Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. I don't think it's hyperbole suggests that we don't do something drastic and immediate, that we're going to graduate years of a permanent underclass in the city. Our children are failing even before the pandemic. I look forward to sharing with you. I think this is a very important conversation to have, and I look forward to sharing in the future. Again, this is Dr. Monty Witherspoon, candidate for School Board District 2. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Okay, did I miss anyone? Okay, if we have all of the candidates that are speaking this morning, right now, what we
You're
like
missing me.
Okay, is that
One more.
Darlene?
It is. It is. Thank you
Okay,
so
go ahead.
much.
I'm sorry.
Thanks. I'm Darlene Heater. I am en route, so I don't have my camera on. But I want to thank you for giving all of the candidates this wonderful platform as we go into this final week of early voting. We've had a really good time in Northeast Charlotte with all of the candidates who are working early voting polls. And it's been mostly positive atmosphere. So I am running for Charlotte City Council District 4. I have lived and worked for our community in Northeast Charlotte for more than 30 years. Most recently, I was the executive director at University City Partners, where I worked firsthand with the city and the county to bring jobs, housing, and revenue to Charlotte. I am a fierce advocate and champion for Northeast Charlotte. I know our district well. I know what our needs and challenges are. And I also have a track record of tackling those challenges and issues. I'm going to focus on results and solutions and ensure more citizen engagement and involvement in our processes. I have always been a consensus builder, seeking solutions to real issues that impact residents every single day. And I am committed to and passionate about creating opportunity for Northeast Charlotte. And I would appreciate your vote, but even more, I appreciate that you vote. So thank you. And I'll put my information in the chat room when I get a moment.
Thank you. Now for our mayoral candidate, we have a question. What motivated you to run for mayor? And I think that's Stephanie. Is it anyone else on here? We'll start with you, Stephanie.
Okay. Excuse me. What motivated me to run for mayor is that I'm originally from Charlotte, and I recently returned after a few years away for business, and I came back and I looked around this past year, and I was just like, what has happened to the city? There is unchecked, real estate development. There is just a sense of, I talk to people and there's not really a sense of hope in the city like there was once before. The city was never perfect. There were definitely systemic issues, However, I just feel that we're not addressing real issues. We're not giving real solutions for people on a daily basis. And I felt that I could provide those because I had a unique perspective of growing up here, but also again living in cities like London and New York City, Paris, Tel Aviv, trying to bring the best of different cities here because so many people have come here recently searching out that American dream, and we're not delivering it. And also, yes, I was disappointed in the current administration, who I do respect that they've served the city in different capacities for 20 plus years. However, when you're mayor, you need to set a very specific and achievable agenda within 2 years. I believe the current agenda is too broad-based, and that, current people don't really know how to execute that on a daily basis to serve the community. So I just felt that I had those skills. I've been in real estate and finance for 24 plus years and worked in government in Philadelphia and other places. And I just felt, okay, I'm going to put my voice out there. And I have to say that the community has really embraced me on all sides. And, people want change. And so that's part of why I'm doing it. I'm also the wife of a police officer. And I see what first responders go through on a daily basis and how city employees are not remotely feeling that they're working for an employer of choice, whether it's medic, fire, or police. And that's disappointing, or cats or water. And, I think like all of you, it's just all those little things that built up. And I felt, okay, I have solutions for these. I have very specific plans and policy rollouts, which I will not bore you with because, unlike some people who felt that it's a simple thing. We can talk about it in 5 minutes. That's not true. That's not authentic. That, policy takes a lot of work, but it can be executed in a very specific timetable when we can bring the right shareholders to the table. I feel I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Chris has
Thank you.
joined us. Chris, would you like a minute since you've joined us? Chris Basil?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
We can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm having some issues. Can you see me now?
Yeah, we can see you now. Mm-hmm.
I was just joining to listen to the other candidates. I'm out working at the polls. I appreciate the time y'all gave me last week. But I'm Chris Basil. I'm running for district court judge.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Okay. At this time, what I'd like to do is just ask the question, and I think we asked this question last week, and you can raise your hand if you have an answer or a recommendation. We understand that people are not doing a lot of early voting, and we need to get people out to vote. So I'd like to hear some recommendations from some of you that are on the call today in how we can get more people out to vote. We know that that's been an issue for our communities over the years. So who's willing to share some of the secrets, some of the motivation factors that would get some people out to vote for this election on the 17th and going forward? Okay, Kyle.
Yeah, so this is less of a secret because I do not have secrets, but when I've been out on the campaign trail, and I know a lot of candidates feel the same way, it's that people just aren't aware. I mean, when I tell people that there's an election coming up, they just don't even know that it exists, even with all these signs all around the city. And when I tell people that even our city election is in July, they're just like, it's when? And so For me, I think the biggest thing that I've been doing is to going to places specifically as a candidate that there's a lot of people at. So, for example, go walk on the rail trail in South End. Like right now, young people are not voting. I mean, the Gen Z and millennial amount of voters that we have right now is like 8%. And so we need to be going to where those young voters are. And in many places in Charlotte, there's a lot of them in South End. And so we need to be going there. We need to be walking on the rail trail, giving out literature or giving out just asking questions. Are you registered to vote? Do you know that an election's coming up? Let me talk to you about this election. Because, you know, our older demographics are voting, but our younger ones aren't. So how can we reach those? And that's how I've been doing it.
Okay, thank you. Darlene, your hand is still up. Did you have a recommendation? Does anyone else have any?
I do. I think that all of us as candidates and as participants on this call need to think about the networks that we have and be proactive about reaching out to those networks, making sure that everybody is sharing the message through social media, through all of their email chains, through all of their social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that there are ways, these are tools that a lot of our younger people are engaged in. And I agree with Kyle, that's not the demographic that we're seeing turning out at our polls in Northeast Charlotte. And that has always been a challenging group for us. But I think that if everybody does a little bit, we all don't have to do a lot.
Okay, thank you. Yvette, did you have a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am, I do. So I was a part of or co-lead on a community budgeting project in January. And one of the
Can you
ideas
talk a
that I
little louder,
had was
please?
getting information. Sure. One of the ideas that I had was having some way of robocalling citizens to get information out to them, not only about voting, but that would certainly be a way for us to get that information out, but also any community service needs that they had, like mobile hospitals and mobile food trucks and things of that nature. As well, we need to utilize our faith community. You know, churches have always been how we galvanize the community to do anything, particularly in the Black community. So I think that we really need to contact our churches, our houses of worship, and ask them to make announcements to galvanize people to get them out to vote.
Thank you. Malcolm, is your hand up for recommendations?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's a very, very important question, very critical question. I'm not sure what more we can do. I think all of our citizens just simply need to watch the news at night. And if that doesn't motivate you to vote at the federal level, the state level, and certainly at the local level, I'm not sure what will. I think all the outlines that the previous candidates have mentioned, social media, walking the trails, finding voters where they are good ideas. They simply don't reach the masses of the people that we need to come to the polls to vote. Our country, our state, and even our local communities are suffering because of lack of leadership, and that should scare every voter, active voters and passive voters, to come out and vote, especially in off-term election cycles. The General Assembly races this year, based on what happened last week with the released memo from the Supreme Court, is critical. The appeals court the young lady is running for is critical, and so we just have to do a better job of working with, I believe, our faith-based organizations, our fraternities and sororities, forums like the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club, other relationships that we have in our community, whether it's Jack and Jill and other groups of people. We need to identify groups of people and get them to mobilize individually as well as collectively together to talk about the importance of what's at stake in our country, our state, and certainly our local community. Local elections matter a lot more than the presidential elections. And I think we're going to see that play out in front of our eyes over the next year and a half in terms of what happens here in North Carolina with the General Assembly, and certainly what's happening here locally with the Charlotte City Council, the county commissioner, and certainly the school board election is critical based on recent events. And so I just encourage everyone to work within their sphere of influence, groups, organizations, and to continue to kind of get the word out. Obviously, I think the media has a role to play as well in terms of making sure that they communicate far and wide in terms of who's on the ballot and why this election is important.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie, your hand is still up. Did you want to give us a recommendation?
Yes. So I affinity groups are incredibly important. You know, we're in this unprecedented time post or during COVID, in the sense that the elections were moved for whatever reasons, and people on this call probably have more information about how that is because they made those decisions. But it's created, you know, as we all know, huge confusion. So what I've worked on and felt that's helpful is just approaching as many affinity groups as possible, but also reporters who interview me don't know when the election is. They keep saying, "How do you feel about your general in November?" And I'm like, "Oh no, you know, my general's in July," and just constantly correcting, you know, that narrative. But you know, unfortunately, there wasn't a plan put in place on how people were going to be educated when the elections were moved for various reasons. So I believe that it's both, all parties need to just work together. You know, we want to turn out as many people as possible, and I know it's in elections are allegedly adversarial things, but it's so important for everyone to vote. And so whenever I see anyone, regardless of party, or when I'm talking to my affinity groups, I'm like, you need to hear the Democratic candidates running. This is who you would vote for. I go that far in terms of education, and I found that builds a lot of trust with voters, because let's just be honest, they don't really trust politicians right now. You know, there's been a lot that we've all been through as voters lately, and it's not. I'm not blaming all politicians, absolutely not. It's just that is the pervasive feeling that I'm getting when I talk to people. But it takes time to permeate the message, and I know we don't have a lot of time because the primary is upon us. But I think if we all just go out there and give a really big push, talk to as many people as possible, go to the affinity groups. I'm not a social media person in terms of getting the word out. I just try to get to as many people who have those followings, but get the message very specific. Like, this is the date, this is how you vote. A lot of people don't know you could vote the same day for certain elections. You know, just educating them as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. We've had some good recommendations here, and hopefully all of us can take some of these recommendations and use them as we maneuver through our communities and encourage people to get out and vote. As you all very well know, we won't be meeting on the 17th, but as we announced earlier, and it is also on our website, and we encourage you to go to our website. Of course, you can review any of the meetings that we've had for the past few years. But we will be reconvening supposedly on the 24th at the Belmont Center. And just go to our website. And once you go to the website, you will get more information on how we will be conducting business there. Okay, I have a hand that's raised here. Is this S. Cardwell? Did you have a recommendation?
Hello, yes. I don't want to say that this election may be a lost cause, but I believe that in the future the candidates need to come out into the community. I'm in my 30s. I'm 39, and I hardly ever see anyone in the community born and raised here in Charlotte until it's time for the election, and then they only come to church for, you know, give a spiel. And so I think if you all want us, my generation and younger, to partake, then action needs to happen instead of just saying, come vote or send out postcards, or and I really don't think the mass calls will work either. But I think that you all have to start being present in the communities if they want change to happen.
Okay, thank you. Malcolm, your hand is still up. Did you want to add anything else?
With this one other thing, Laura, I think voting is a generational responsibility. And years ago, we had kids voting, right? And it really kind of began to focus on civic education in our Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, and kids voting allowed and introduced middle school and high school kids who were ineligible to vote because of age, but gave them the voting experience, talked to them about the importance of voting, the importance of civic education. They actually cast a ballot. Obviously, it was not an official ballot, but they were given the opportunity to cast ballots, and they often went with parents. I took my kids to vote. And so I think if we can revisit with the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system and the nonprofit kids voting, I think we need to ramp that program back up again, and so that we begin to start teaching civics and civic responsibility about voting to that new generation at an early age, and so that by the time they are eligible to vote at 18, it's already somewhat habit forming in reference to how to participate in the electoral process. Thank you.
Okay. Robert, did you have your hand up? Robert Hill?
Yes, I did. And I
Okay.
just maybe had a couple statement, and then and the statement was, we have to also be mindful, right, that there are those who don't want voter participation, and and the schedule, the scheduling, the rescheduling, and the voter confusion, all creates an environment where people don't vote, and we can see that it has been effective. Malcolm alluded to it earlier. What the answer lies in the state legislature and turning the state legislature uh, over, and again being more consistent about when elections are, and getting information out to voters. I did have a question about for the and I guess it's the millennial crowd, and how to reach out and how to encourage them. Again, it's clearly with every crowd or with every group, it's about politicians and people who will put their hands up to serve the public, to develop a relationship with all of the voters. But there's also, I guess, there's got to be a reciprocal thing, and we see this at the polls sometimes. That people don't want to talk to you, right? You approach them to say, "Hey, my name is Rob Hillman. I'm running for XYZ," and they're immediately, sometimes because they're from a different party, but I think sometimes it's just an attitude that people have about people running for office, right? And so the question becomes, what does, from the millennial perspective, what do you recommend uh, people do who want to be public servants to develop a better relationship with millennials? Again, where should they be showing up? What should they be doing? How should they, give us, pass some information forward to us so we can, honestly develop the relationship that we seek with all voters, not just millennials, but all.
Okay. Um, let's see. We have Cedric. You have some recommendations.
Yes, ma'am. The first one is, just for me being out in the community, our politicians have depressed the vote. They have depressed seniors as well as young people, because one example is the way the Hidden Valley seniors were treated when we had people like Malcolm Graham, who, and I'm not attacking him, I'm just saying, who would not meet with them when doing the redistricting process. So when you have situations where we meet with developers, we meet with everyone but the residents. So one of the solutions that I have proposed, what I promise to do, is every single month I will do what I call a wellness check. And I will allow anyone who wants to be on a virtual platform with me to be able to chime in. I will meet with all communities in the same way like we're doing with the Tuesday morning breakfast. They'll be able to offer. It's a saying to say no involvement, no commitment. So the commitment comes when you allow the community to have his voice back and not vote against the community. And the last thing I would say is we have to pledge as civic leaders to not meet privately with developers, but force the developers to come in the room with the community and let the community know the advantages and disadvantages straight from the developer's mouth. And then the community tell us how to vote, and that's the way that we vote. But when we vote against the community, it's going to depress the vote, and the community is not going to come out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for the mayoral candidate. It said you stated that you wanted to attract businesses that align with Charlotte's values. What do you see as being Charlotte values? Stephanie?
Yes, yes, I'm so sorry. I had problems unmuting. So I feel that, we're remaking the soul of Charlotte. There have been issues in the past. When I'm talking about the current values, I believe Charlotte is family friendly. We're trying to be as family friendly as possible. We are ingenuitive, not just innovation, because innovation can be just sort of done in a haphazard way. But if you have ingenuity, you really think through what you're doing, but you do it quickly at the same time. So I feel ingenuity, compassion, family friendly. And like I said, we are and are going to be the number one city. Some banking figures say we're number one now. We've surpassed New York. Some say two, depends what you read. So I just really feel that those are core values, that we have an ability to remake what we want the city to be. And that's what, I'm also trying to figure out the best way to execute that by hearing what everyone thinks are values, because I could say what I think the values are, but I also like to hear what people think they are, and I include those.
Okay, thank you. Is Mary still with us? Mary was raising her hand. She may have had to leave. Mary?
Oh, I was here. I just wanted to say something about kids voting. Kids voting is now called Generation Nation, and they are very active in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system with curriculums for kindergarten through 12th grade. They had to stop the in-person voting that children used to do in 2020 because of COVID. Hopefully they'll get back to it. I used to work with them a lot when I was in CMS, and I put the website in the chat, and the director of the Charlotte program is Amy Farrell.
Mary, I just have a question for that. For me, simple. Kids voting. Why did they name it Generational Nation instead of keeping it as kids voting in the schools? Do you know the rationale behind that?
I do not know. I don't know why they changed the name, but they called it Generation Nation. And as Malcolm said, they do educate children and give them an opportunity to physically complete a ballot. And on the elementary level, they have pictures of the candidates, and the children can select the picture of the person. And then it goes all the way up to high school, where it's more like a real ballot. But there's a lot to be said about the physical act of voting, which was sort of lost when they actually had voting booths and that kind of thing for the children.
Right.
So hopefully we can get back to that. I think they're still voting, but they do it in the classroom.
Okay. Cal and Cedric are the last two hands I see that are still up. Cal, did you have anything else you want to contribute? And Cedric?
Yes, so I did. This is just in response to Rob's question about millennials and kind of how to get us to go and vote. And for me, as a millennial, and when I talk to people in my age group, age demographic, which is generally between 25 and 35, I emphasize the issues that actually matter to my age demographic as opposed to issues that are tangential and are important but don't actually matter. So, like, for example, if I'm in a room of 28-year-olds, I'm going to talk about how expensive it is to buy a house in Charlotte, because a lot of 28-year-olds want to buy a house. They don't want to rent because their rent is out of control. And so I emphasize what the actual, like, something that impacts them in their pocketbook every single day, because that rent check comes out every single first of the month. And when I talk about that and I say, you know, this is something that city government deals with. This is not something that national government necessarily deals with or the state government. This is something city government deals with. They're just like, oh, so I actually need to care about who I'm electing to city council. And I'm like, exactly, because that's impacting your pocketbook. And so I think bringing it down to millennials on, you know, how are you impacted is a way to really encourage them to, number one, do their research, and number two, realize the importance of voting, specifically in our municipal elections.
Okay, Cedric. Okay, I guess we got
Yes,
to
ma'am.
Cedric. Did you have, your hand is still up, did you have some contribution to this discussion, additional?
Yeah, I was just saying that, I really wanted to thank, this platform. I think this platform, and I wanted to just point out that it's a model. And if we could continue these discussions with with the politicians making a commitment, a commitment to come on and continue to provide information like it was, prior to the pandemic. I really do feel that having an information sharing network is going to be the key. There are a lot of resources that are out in the community, but a lot of people uh, are not aware of it. So having platforms like this, I think, is very pivotal to solving some of these problems.
Thank you for those comments, Cedric. And just to make you aware, we've been around for 40 years, and that's what we do. We share information with the community. We try to bring as much information to the community as possible through the forums that's been held, that was started years ago. And one, of course, of our conveners was Sarah Stevenson back around 40 years ago. So we will continue to do this. And at this time, it is 9:27. And Stephanie, did you have, since you are our mayoral candidate, did you have something else you wanted to add before we close it out this morning? I guess not.
Yes,
But
yes, I'm so sorry. I just couldn't unmute. My mistake. Um, thank you for having me. And I actually want to close it out, not talking about myself necessarily, but talking about just elaborating what you were just saying about millennials and Gen Xers. And I just want to give some insight for that. And I just want to say that Gen X has never seen a generation, a time when people's houses weren't being taken by foreclosure. They don't know a world before 9/11. They don't believe, that there is hope, and they are not a lazy generation. They are not trying to be obsessed with TikTok. It's just this sense that they feel that, well, why am I going to try? Because I see the millennials try and I see other people try, and it just doesn't work out for them. And we need to deliver better as a society to that. And a lot of things written about millennials and Gen Xers are just completely untrue. As Kyle was saying, 28-year-olds want to buy houses. I'm a millennial, by the way, and I want to buy, a house, and I can't, and I have a good job. And there are millennials who work really hard and are not seeing any future, just like Gen X. So I'm not blaming the generations before us. I'm just saying, if you're trying to reach out to them, we all need to take that responsibility and just have a real conversation. And my daughter's
Okay.
generation, which is Alpha, they're different and they need us to step up. And that's it. I just want to close
Okay.
it out with that. And thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
And I
Thank
believe
you.
we can do it together.
Okay.
Because all of you.
Thank you so much.